I'm back tonight with my bestie Nikki, who wasn't with me last night. How are you, Nikki?
I'm good, and we can't forget that I'm here on time, unlike the
You
last time we met at 7, where I forgot, and it was very late because I was, like, in the middle of bedtime routine.
Not only are you on time, everyone's on time. This might be a first.
Amazing. I
This might
know.
this might be a first. With Emily's with us, Dr. Rocket's with us. We got the whole gang. It's a party.
Cool. Awesome.
This is great. I love it. I love it. How are you
Welcome,
guys doing?
guys.
Emily, you doing good?
I'm good.
I,
All
I
good.
yeah, I haven't seen you live and in person since the games, which, to be fair, was the first time I met you. But it's good. It's good to see you. Like,
This past games, really?
yeah, that was
Oh.
the
I
very
think
first.
I saw you. No, I saw you in 2021 games, but you were like creepy man hiding out of the back of a van kind of vibe. So I didn't go any closer.
I was. I forgot about the creepy van that Nikki and I were working
You were
out
in a
of.
van. And I was like,
I
don't know.
I didn't barely fit in that van. I was so pregnant. It was like really cool. Like the premise was great, right? Like we were working with Strong Coffee and they had this van and they like gave us a really great setup in the back where there were like bench seats and this kind of table and we set up all of our podcasting equipment and it was like really awesome in theory. And then I remember the first time I like slid into the seat where like the table I had to like lean and like stretch and like my belly was like up on the table basically and I was like, this is not sustainable. No.
Yeah, it was small. It looked small.
Yeah.
It was
I don't
weird.
know if it was small, but I was large.
Is that why we had to do the ultrasound of you, Nikki?
That's why I know I want to tell that story because I would just like to say that I broke that thing in, but no, to your point, I really am glad you're here, Dr. Rocket, because Emily, I think like the whole world is so cool, the CrossFit world at least, is so curious to know about how you're doing and how you're feeling and how your recovery is going. And I feel like to properly tell that story, we got to go back to what actually happened at the games because you are still kind of like in recovery from the latest injury that we all know about. So let's take it back.
It's only been 7 weeks, so
yeah, that's not a long time.
do you guys see these comments here? Or is that just me?
No, we can all see them.
Look, here's what you got to get used to with this show, Emily. All right, like our listeners are a rare breed. We love them. We love them dearly. And poor Pat has ruined it for all future Canadians by having bad audio on the show. It's Pat's fault. Like he came on, he had AOL dial-up. He had to put the disc into his computer. It was bad. It was like really bad. And he was a great guest because we love Pat dearly. But man, it was a rough show.
He's great.
It was a rough show.
I'll have to give him some guff about that.
Yeah, well, trust me, it'll be in the comments for the rest of the night for sure. Anyway, let's talk about your injury.
Anyway,
fun times.
Yeah, can we just take it all the way back because for the listeners who don't know, who must have been living under a rock, you obviously are recovering from this injury that took you out of competition at the games this year, and so I would love to know, Emily, kind of step by step, like how did it start? What was going on? And then we are really fortunate to have Dr. Rocket here too, who heads up the CrossFit Games medical team, and I would love to also just hear from your boots on the ground perspective, Dr. Rocket, like, what happened and how you reacted basically. So Emily, start with you. Like what was, oh, sorry, that's my dog. What was going on? What happened?
Yeah, so I'll let Dr. Rocket get into like the nitty gritty technical stuff, but I was dealing maybe like a week before the games, maybe I felt some like little strain in my bicep and I was like, oh, okay, well, I'm training all the time. Like we all are before the games. I thought, okay, I've just done a bit much, pulled it a little, kind of ignored it, whatever. It would light up every once in a while. I just kind of took it easy, like was smart with my training leading up to the games and had it taped. Like if you see photos from the first event, it was kind of taped because my physio thought, oh, maybe like that'll help increase blood flow and just make it feel a bit better. Usually that's like kind of your go-to kinesio tape something when it's bugging you a bit, but just thought it was like a strain, wasn't too worried. And then, right after the Tota bar in that event, it really, really started to hurt. I noticed it on the bike And I was kind of like, you know, you ride a bike like this, and I was shaking out my hand like every little bit. And like Kyle, my coach, later was like, "Why were you always like shaking out your hand?" Oh, because I was like, it was hurting, like it was so painful, and I couldn't, like at the time, I wasn't like, didn't even think what it could have been. But yeah, you can see from the photos there was no color in my hand, and all I was thinking the first bike ride was like, how am I going to get through all these chest to bar? Like, I know I can keep biking, like I can get through that kind of pain, but like hanging and like using your grip is like another story. And then I got to the chest to bar, and I think it took me like 13 sets or something embarrassing to finish 75 chest to bar. And I just couldn't hang on. Like I was peeling off sideways because one arm was hanging on and the other wasn't. So basically this arm was just like over the, like there for support, but yeah, it was hard. And then finished the event, and the pain was pretty bad. And then I went straight to the medical team. It's funny, they're all just like standing lined up. There's like 4 or 5 of them, and you have to walk through them as an athlete when you're done an event. I don't know if they do that on purpose, but they're just easy access. So if you have anything, you like bright red shirt, you can see them, you can go to them, they're right there. And I walked past them because I was like, I'm fine. And then kind of like took a drink of my water bottle, whatever. And I was like, nah, like I'm not okay. I got to go back. And then I went straight to Dr. Rocket because I remember him from the year before. He looked at my knee when I tweaked it. Yeah. And I kind of went up to him and I was like, hey, like my hand really hurts. Can you do something about this? Thinking he's just going to like snap it back, whatever. It's going to feel better in a few minutes.
Snap it back.
Not the case.
He's like, wait a minute, you saw what? I'm like, yeah, like he was just going to like magic voodoo it back to whatever it was. Like it was no big deal, really, is what you were thinking. You were like, something's out of place, something's pulled, something's whatever. My hand really hurts. Dr. Rocket will fix it,
Work
right?
your magic, like give it a little massage, whatever it needs. I don't know.
Yes.
That's not what happened. Dr. Rocket,
and
what
so
happened?
It began. And so it began. Yeah. I can just say, you know, I got to know Emily from before, from just previous things. And I know she's a tough person. And as a sports med doc, you kind of, you know, get to know personalities and what people are like. And, you know, I know that she's not going to come for, you know, a little bump or bruise. And so, yeah, she just sort of, it was like, you know, almost like my daughter after she hurt her wrist. She's like, here, can you do something with this? Like,
Dad, can you fix it? Yeah.
And I like, what? I'm like, you know, the first thing that struck me, I was like, you know, it just looked bright white. Like, wow, this is just odd looking. And I said, like, did something happen like that? Like, was there trauma? Did you injure yourself? Did you fall? Like, do you have pain? And she's like, no, it's okay. And she's, you know, moving it. And so, you know, then I'm like, all right, first thing, it's white. Let me feel for her pulse. And I'm like, you know, it was just like a knee jerk reaction. Like it's, you know, giving me something to do, like feel for the pulse while I'm thinking of different possibilities about what this could be. And, you know, I didn't feel a pulse. And I was like, okay, you know, maybe, and I had talked about this, that maybe there's a thing called Raynaud's disease, which Canadians surely know about, and Boston and New Englanders really know about a lot, is when you go outside, your fingers can turn white. And a lot of people wear gloves to prevent it. And I was like, we're in the middle of Madison, it's 85 degrees. And she was biking, you know, maybe her fingers got cold with biking, but I was like, you know, do you have Raynaud's? And she said no, right off the bat. And then I started feeling for other pulses, and I couldn't, you know, I could feel there's another pulse up here, the axillary. So I was like, okay, we got an axillary, that's good. But there was no trauma.
It's alive. That's good. She has somewhat of a pulse.
There's some blood coming down. And then I started getting into just a bunch of different questions, asking about all different possibilities. You know, elbow motion was fine, shoulder motion's fine. Nothing, you know, didn't fall down, didn't have anything the week before, didn't feel anything terrible. And then started asking questions about, you know, she was getting some needling, and asked about the needling, and, you know, then asked about history of blood clots, family history of blood clots, stuff like that. And everything was coming up negative. except for the dry needling, which is possibly the situation.
Okay, so you were like trying to remain calm, and you put on your medical hat, and you were like, I'm gonna
Yeah,
find out a whole bunch of different things happening. But at the very same time, you're like, holy shit, this girl has no pulse in her hand.
yeah,
What is
and
happening?
and and then I'm starting to get the nurses are coming around, and everybody's just sort of gathering around, like waiting for like what is it? And
Yeah.
I was like, well,
Diagnosis.
let's see here. Like, and I checked her strength and her sensation, everything was working. And, I said, okay, in case this is some weird vasospasm, let's go warm up her hand under warm water. And the funny part of the story, funny part of the story is that there's not a lot of warm water at the Alliance Center.
No, there's
Because when we take showers in the morning, we try to, so I knew where the warm shower was. After our workouts, the medical team gets together, and I knew there was one place that had warm water. His other showers weren't warm. So we went there, we warmed it up, and her hand pinked up and it looked better, but she still had no pulse. So then I was like, all right, this is getting a little weird. No pulse is coming. What would I do if I was at home, with a patient in the room? And I'd said, I'd get an ultrasound. And this was the first year that we had officially had an ultrasound at the games.
Well, officially, because last year it was unofficially there for the first time as just a gadget.
It did the job.
It definitely did.
So I don't want to hog the story, but Emily, at that point was like, come on, it's fine, I'm good. Can I go? I can just go to the warm up area. And as a sports medicine doc, like at this place, you never will see somebody again. Like you can't keep track of people. And I was like, if I let her go, just thinking that this is a spasm, and I don't see her again for 30 minutes or 35 minutes, because who knows where she is. Like, so again, we call it the diagnostic imperative. The diagnostic imperative is I have to make sure nothing bad is happening as a rule. And then you go from there. Like once I can assume nothing bad's happening, then I can take it, to other stages. But I was like, I really would love to feel your pulse right now. And we don't have it. We need an ultrasound. And we got an ultrasound. And the ultrasound.
But like me at that point, like the pain was kind of gone. Like it was.
Yeah, and she was feeling fine. That was the thing. She was like, I feel good. I feel good to go. Let me go back.
Can you let me go? And then I was like regretting going to the medical.
Right.
Because I was like,
of course you are. Yeah.
Like any football player who goes to the trainer, they don't want to go to the trainer because the trainer's going to keep them out or keep them,
So what did the ultrasound show?
So the ultrasound showed that there was a clot in the artery, and in other multiple arteries. And, I'm just, shocked and amazed. If you look at the list of 10 things that could cause this, she had none of them. And so we're like, how did this happen? And, that, I think looking back, it was probably the needling that did it. And that maybe caused a little clot, and that sent clot down into her arm. So Mike Ray is on the team too. He's the medical director of the games, and Mike called ahead to the emergency room. He's an emergency room physician. He called ahead, said, we got somebody we're going to be sending. At this point, Emily's like, you sure? And we're like, yeah, we got the ultrasound and the clinical exam.
Yeah, girl, we see it. We sure. Are you kidding me?
Positive.
And so we said, yeah.
But you guys still kind of gave me the choice. I don't know if.
No, we didn't give you a choice. What are you kidding me? You thought there was a choice.
You said it really nicely.
There was no choice.
Well, I heard like there was still an option, maybe. And
you
then,
heard that.
And then I was like, yeah.
It's like, we'll see. When my mother used to say, we'll see. Well, we'll see.
Mm-hmm.
We'll
It's
see.
a no.
But it was.
And then I was like, well, I'm not quitting. And
you were involuntary, right? We did it. We took you up.
Yeah, you guys. Yeah.
It was a involuntary withdrawal from the CrossFit Games.
You can blame the medical team, is what they're saying.
I'll take
100%.
I got big shoulders. I can take it.
Sean,
That's
I'm
wild.
curious. So, as a doctor, you have this, do no harm rule, and you're a CrossFitter, so you're a fan of the sport. You
Right.
don't feel the pulse. She's wanting to go back out onto the competition floor. I'm sure as a CrossFitter, you want her back out on the CrossFitting,
Well,
on the competition floor, but you're also a doctor. Like, how is the stress level for you? Like trying to get that diagnosis quickly and to give her good treatment.
Yeah, no, that's so part of it is that the reason we're there is because we love the sport and we love the athletes and we love taking care of these guys and we love trying to keep them in the game. And that's really what we're there to do, is to make sure they're okay to keep going. And there are times where people have presented where they're not okay to keep going. And then we unfortunately have to sort of take a step back and say, I'm not a fan anymore. This is, I got to put my MD in, and you got to step back and say this is a no-go. We've had ACL tears and stuff like that where we've had to, stop people from going. So
I think, well, like Dr. Rocket, like you do CrossFit too, and it kind of makes him like more credible because like he's an excellent surgeon, but he also like gets the sport too. It's not just like they pulled a doctor has like no idea about CrossFit, and it's easy for them to be like, no, like just quit. But like he gets it a lot more than
I know what it took for this year to get there. And on the first event of the games, to pull her the first of the event of the games, it's tough. It's very, very difficult. And
is it harder to diagnose someone like Emily who's a CrossFitter, has a high threshold to pain? Like CrossFitters are notorious for being able to put up with more than particularly elite athletes, more than normal humans like me. Is it harder for you to diagnose, or you just have your checklist you're going through and kind of treating it the same?
No, they're so in tune with their body. They know when something's wrong. They know that something's wrong. It's the toughest part is taking them out and making sure that they're not. And I've had multitudes of games athletes that I've taken out and said, we'll see you next year. I go, I don't want you to miss next year. Also, like if you keep going, something bad could happen. So there's a lot of times where we're, I'm being cautious, and we kind of live a little on the edge. We want them to go. We want them to keep going. But if something is going to make something worse, we can't let them keep going. But we'll let somebody have an injury. If they have an injury, we'll say, and it's mild, and we'll say, okay, let's have you warm up for the next event. And I'll go watch and see how they warm up at the next event. And and by that time, it kind of has settled in for them that they've figured out that they're not going to be able to lift, 260 off the ground, if something's going on.
But didn't I ask, like, I don't know if you remember, but
you asked everything. You were
that shuttle run jerk event.
Yeah.
Till the rain delay. So I asked them, I was like, I don't really need my grip or my arm. I can do shuttle runs and do some jerks. Like, it's fine. Can I just go do that one first?
Did you say you don't need your arm for jerks? I'll just use
you don't
the
need your grip.
It'll be fine.
Yeah. But you can support it and do a jerk. You'd be fine. If I just did 75 chest to bar with no grip, I was feeling pretty invincible at that point.
Yeah, there's that. There's the fact that you finished that workout, lest we forget that happened.
Yeah, Emily's like, one arm's fine. I can do pull-ups, jerks. I can do it all. There's one arm.
And that
cut it off,
workout,
I'll be
it
fine.
was a different score for the shuttle run. So I was like, even I could just go ham on the run and then hopefully win that part.
Man,
we have had people who have had injury, upper body or lower body, who have been able to work out completely normally in a workout, and then on the second workout they'll take it, they'll bow out after
I
that.
swear elite athletes are a different breed of human than the rest of us. Like you guys, like your mindset is just different. I would have come off the bike and be like, Dr. Rocket, could you take me out? Would you mind taking me out? My hand hurts. My hand hurts, please. Tell my coach I have to stop.
I don't want to glaze over the really unique and difficult diagnosis, Dr. Rocket, that you made, that I think not everyone would have thought to go straight to the ultrasound, to go straight to checking for a clot. Not everyone would have looked at Emily and as fast as you did say, she's got no pulse in this hand. Let's warm it up. No, that's not working. Okay, ultrasound. Okay, what if it's a clot? Like that's just, I just want to say it out loud. Like it was a unique and not expected issue to have. So for you to think that quickly and get her to the ER as quickly as you did, I think is commendable. It's worth saying out loud for sure.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. I appreciate that.
He's got spidey senses.
Totally. And I would just like to say you're welcome, because last year when the ultrasound was brand new at the games and nobody knew what to do or how to use it, we tested it on my belly.
Yes, we did.
On your baby. There you go.
On my baby, 100%. Like I was like low key, I was pretending to be cool about it because they were like, we got this ultrasound, but we've like never done it before. And it like hooked up to someone's phone and like, we should like look and test it out. And I was like, yeah, whatever, playing it cool. Meanwhile, I had just right before I traveled to games, I had gotten this kind of concerning note from my OB that the baby was like trending really small and they wanted to like non-stress test me every single day and like give me all these ultrasounds and whatever. And I was like, yeah, but I'm traveling, so I have to go. Bye. And so when they were like, we have an ultrasound here, I was like, oh yeah, that's cool. Do you want to like, I don't know, look at my belly or whatever? Meanwhile, in my head, I'm like, oh my God, someone please check me. Someone please check me while I'm here. Worked out just fine. It was totally cool.
Worked out well. We see the product.
Exactly.
I gotta be honest. I was hoping one of you guys was going to deliver Nikki's baby at the games because it would have been great for this show.
Oh man.
That would be so cool.
Scared. They did not want that. Like every single one of them was like, please don't go into labor.
Right in the back of that
Do you have water? Do you need hydration?
Yeah, we were going to set up the Noble Birthing Center with like boiling water and torn sheets. We were ready.
Well, to be fair, it's probably cheaper to have him at the hospital than to do it around Nobles. So save a lot of money that way. No doubt.
I would have required baby Nobles, which I have never seen before. So they should make them. I would spend all my money on them. I would.
For real.
Anyway, so then you got to the hospital, Emily, and I've heard you tell this story before, but I would love to hear it again, like straight from you about what happened when you got there and when they took you in and what the surgeon noticed about you and sort of like the process that followed once you finally got to the hospital.
It was very quick actually, because the medical team had called ahead, and I guess like anything vascular is you're kind of fighting with time a little bit, so it's got to be quick. Within I want to say like 2 to 3 hours I was in surgery. Like they took me in, I had a CT scan. I remember I signed my life away and it was like, go. Like it was quick. If you don't want to wait at a hospital, just get a blood clot.
Oh my God.
Oh,
you're right in.
The other part about this whole story, a lot of people have been confusing that this was not a vein clot. Like we see vein clots all the time. This was an arterial clot. So arterial clots completely different, but we see vein clots all the time. So
can you give a brief discussion, description of like the difference, like and what it means?
Yeah. So like a vein clot is if, you're on a flight and you're sitting for 3 hours and you just get blood pooling in your leg, and you get calf pain. That's a blood clot in your leg. It's called a deep venous thrombosis or a DVT. After surgery, people can get DVTs or clots like that. People on birth control can get them. Some people with genetic tendencies can get these clots. But again, we see these all the time. We see, probably one a week of those. Those are completely different than an arterial clot of the arm. Arterial clot is where you, and again, mostly it happens with people who have vascular disease, people who are smokers or older who don't have good arteries, like big gaping arteries, like Emily has great arteries. Other people sometimes can have issues with their heart where they throw a clot from their heart to their leg. And then if it goes and cuts off blood to the arm or to the foot, you could lose, blood flow. And that's how you could lose a leg or an arm.
And is this the artery clot, is this far more dangerous than the other, or are they equally dangerous?
Well, so the vein clot can go into the vein up the up the system, venous system to your heart, and then that stops in the lung. And that's called a pulmonary embolus. And that can be fatal, but that's a venous clot. The venous clot goes from the veins back up to the heart and then to the lung. An arterial clot can come from the heart or from the other and then go down distally. So the artery goes away from the heart, the vein comes into the heart. So
we're saying that if this hadn't been treated fast enough, Emily could have lost her hand effectively.
I don't want to be melodramatic, but okay. If you have a clot of your artery, of your brachial artery, then that's an issue. Yeah, that's.
He's like, yes, basically.
They put a bracelet on me, and they put a bracelet on me that said "limb alert," and it was like a bright pink bracelet. And I was like, oh god.
Limb alert, in case it falls off.
Limb alert.
Put it back on the table. Keep it attached to her. And then the other part of me coming on was I just want to make sure that people didn't think this is associated with exercise or CrossFit or exercising. That this.
Yeah, explain that.
You say that again?
I said, yeah. Can you just explain a little bit about that? Because I think that sometimes people do like misdiagnose health issues with how we work out so intensely, or all the different aspects of CrossFit. And of course, we on the show and most of the people listening to the show who are fans of the sport know that that's not true. But I would love to hear it from you, Dr. Rocket, just about how unrelated those aspects are.
It wasn't the fact that she was lifting weights, and it wasn't the fact that she was, doing chest to bars or toe to bars. They did tests at the hospital looking to see if it was, the artery was getting occluded with her arm over her head, which is a thing called thoracic outlet, and she did not have that. So, again, not related to that. I was going to make another point, but yeah, so I just don't want people to be frightened that it was exercise related.
So you think it was from the needling? Is that what the suspicion is?
I think in retrospect, that there was probably one of the needles probably entered the artery and caused a clot in that.
Man, I did needling once. I knew I didn't like that shit. Never again.
Never like dry needling?
Oh, I did not like it at all.
I've done it a couple of times, like if I've had like really, really tense muscles or like I don't know, like pinched stuff or whatever like that. I understand that it kind of, in general, talking about needles and then talking about these clots is making my butt tingle. Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah. Yeah, and I have people that get dry needling all the time, and it works well. They like it. So.
Nope. I switched from dry needling to dry martinis. It's great. It's a good swap.
Okay, so freak thing, totally get that. And so Emily, I mean, here you are. It's been a few weeks out. Like, what is going on? How is the injury healing? What's been happening with that?
Yeah. So obviously, straight out of surgery, it was pretty sore for a couple of weeks there. Basically, I was just trying to Dr. Rocket was very adamant that keep trying to move it, don't baby it, kind of like it's in a sling, kind of. Because I guess you can get frozen shoulder, which is really bad, and elbow issues, which, yeah, if you're not moving it. So he had me just basically trying to straighten it was a task in itself. So I'd put my arm against a wall and try to straighten it. I'd do that stretch a lot and making sure it was could bend really well. That was 2 weeks of that. Couldn't get my heart rate up very high because at least the surgeon told me it's still trying to heal because they went basically mining in there to get the clots out. So you can't, you don't want blood pumping in there really hard.
I call roto-rooter.
So yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, you roto-rootered.
Wow.
I can't.
So yeah, I mean, and then basic surgery, it's quite a trauma to your body. So I took it easy for a full week. Went to Nashville, partied a little bit. That probably wasn't the best, but I mean, my arm was fine. So, and then I started to move it, do some crossover and that kind of thing. Probably 3 weeks after, and then do really light dumbbell bicep curls and like 5-pound plate, if that. And then we're at like 7 weeks now, I think. So after around like 5 or 6 weeks, I really noticed, like I can hang on a bar now, and I can like grip things, and I can grab a gallon of milk out of the fridge, and like it really just like got really better really fast, which I'm lucky. Yeah, it was weird.
Well, hats off to you,
Dr.
Dr.
Rocket looks disapproving.
He's like, "Cool, you were doing curls after 2 weeks. That's great."
He's like, "Oh, you immediately went out and started drinking in bars in Nashville?" Just taking notes. So they're writing this down as
Only 2 nights.
Oh no, that's fine.
But no, I do want to shout out to the medical team, because it truly is a team. And actually, if you remember, Emily, you went to one of the nurses first, and he brought you over to me. So he sort of recognized, like he could have said, "No problem."
The big guy, right?
Yeah, the big dude.
Yeah.
Tom. And so, you know, it is a team. It's a well-oiled machine, but it's, you know, we have doctors, nurses, paramedics, and also just, you know, letting people know that, you know, people at the games are well cared for. And, you know, if you're at the games, you know, please, you know, if you have any issues, please come to see us, because we're not trying to take you out of the games. We're trying to keep you in. And there are unfortunately certain times where we have to take you out. So.
And Dr. Rocket, before you leave us, we had Dave Rimple on the show a few weeks ago. It was the athlete and the Masters.
I heard that one. That one.
Had a stroke at the games, and you guys straight up saved his life. So the medical team of the CrossFit Games is really spectacular.
Yeah, those guys were right on. I was
second in that.
We appreciate it. I was not involved in that case, but right away they were on top of that. And so, but that's why we're there. That's why we're doing it.
I think as an athlete, I was going to say, like, we're so thankful. Like when you get pulled, you're like, ugh, and you kind of hate on the person who pulled you, but they're looking out for your life and for your future. And, you know, like, I'm so thankful that they were all there, and especially Dr. Rocket. And like, you know, I thought to myself, well, even now, like a month later, like, yeah, it still hurts that I wasn't able to compete and show what I trained all year for, but like, I'm healthy and I have my arms. So like,
it is so invaluable having really talented medical professionals in any sport, but I think specifically in our sport, people who know and understand, who are in the gym every single day, who you don't need to explain, oh, I was snatching and I pulled this, or like, oh, I couldn't hold onto the bar for toes to bar, or whatever it may be, because they already know, because they're literally in this community. Like, that doesn't happen. Every other sport has like an ambulance and some ER folks, or some what's the word I'm looking for? Someone help me out. Paramedics, like on scene in case something bad happens, so they can be whisked away to the hospital. And that's great. But like, our sport has people within the community who live this every single day. That makes every single difference in the world. It's incredible. So Dr. Rocket, thank you. And thank your team for being just amazing, wonderful, and just all really nice too. Also just really nice people.
Very approachable.
Our pleasure. Happy to do it. It's great to see you doing well, Emily, and I'm going to scoot. So see you guys. Thanks for having me.
All right. Thanks, Dr. Rocket.
All right. Bye-bye. How do I get out of here?
I'll just leave you. See you later.
Point me in the right direction.
I just kicked him out. Hey, this would be a good time. Emily, you're a UCAN sponsored athlete, which is our sponsor for this show.
Ooh.
Can we blame your blood clot on UCAN or no? Probably not. Probably a bad idea.
Can we blame your recovery on UCAN though?
Maybe.
We sure can.
I mean, give us a little snippet of why you love UCAN.
So I'm actually their first CrossFit athlete.
Really?
Celebrity. Wow.
I was the first one. I started using UCAN way before they sponsored me, like very early on in CrossFit, probably like 2015. And I just basically, like, when I first came to CrossFit, I took whatever C4, whatever everyone else was, those other crappy pre-workouts. And I just like, you get a high and then you crash so hard.
Yeah.
And it was so bad. And like, and I was like, I can't do this. And then my husband actually, I don't know how he found UCAN, but he was like, try this. And ever since then, I just started using it. And then, yeah, probably used it for about 3 years at least before they started sponsoring me. And it's great. They're just like moving into the CrossFit space because they're more like endurance athlete based. But yeah.
You know, Scott Panchik turned me onto it. And I was just like you. I would take C4, or if it didn't make my skin tingle, I didn't want it. That was my rule. Like I want to feel like my heart's going to come out of my chest. That was what I wanted. And he's like, no, you got to try this. Stuff's really good. It's great for longer workouts. I'm like, all right. And so he gives me one, and then I go do like a 30 or 40-minute workout, and I never hit the wall, which is very unusual for me because I'm really good at like going too hard, too fast, you know? And all of a sudden I'm like, well, I'm not stronger and faster, but I'm not dying. Like I have energy through the whole thing, you know? I was like, all right, I'm all in. And then when they started sponsoring us, then I was really all in. But the stuff's great, like really, really
It's
great.
great. You
And
get that steady energy. Like nobody, you don't want to crash. That's terrible. If you're in a 5-round workout and you're in round 3 and you hit the wall, it's like you want to die.
Oh, it's
really cool. They like when they first came out with it, it was for someone with diabetes. So they like that person couldn't like have a high and then a low because blood sugar had to be. So it was originally designed for that, which is like, it's actually medically good.
Well, I started using it for work. I mean, that's my thing is like I work long hours in banking, and I get up in the morning, and if I know I'm not going to get to lunch at like 1 or 2 o'clock, I'll have one before I go. And it, you know, I'm still hungry, but it keeps me with that steady energy all the way until I can get to lunch. And
that's where I'm at.
The protein and super starch one if you're hungry. That's the one I have all the time.
My thing is like the bars and stuff, because I think bars are the only food group that I have lived on since I became a mom a year ago, because I like have no time. I have no time. I have 10 different things to do in front of me all the time. And I'm rushing from work to the gym to picking up the baby to get the dogs and then the this and then the that. And it's like, I have no time for a meal. And if I have something like really sugary, like a sugary bar or like a quick carb bar, then I'm like not hungry for 5 minutes. And then I feel like shit. And I still have all the things I have to do.
Right.
So I like it for like that on the go. I'm hungry in between meals, but it's not going to make me feel like crud. And it's going to give me the energy I need to do everything on my to-do list.
That's the thing. It doesn't have the added sugars and crap. It's like natural.
That should be their slogan. No added sugars and crap. We're going to make that their slogan now. I'm gonna put that in the show. I'm gonna put that in the show notes. It's gonna be great.
You tell them.
Yes. All right. So everybody go to ucan.co, not .com, ucan.co. Use our code KBEL20 and you'll save 20%. So good stuff. All right. That aside, I want to hear about your Nashville trip because I was living vicariously through you guys in a city I lived in for years. I love Nashville so much. Man.
That was our first time. We had a blast. So I don't know if you know, but we always go to Vegas like after games, after like Rogue last year we did. It's like, I don't know. We just keep going to Vegas.
Like just like to rage?
Just like to chill out after a big comp. Like
you don't really chill out in Vegas.
You don't. You come back more tired, but after competition you don't really care. So it's like whatever. And then the joke was we had to keep going back to Vegas because, you know, the sign that you have your name on that you take from the games, I like left that in airport security. So Kyle was like, well, we got to go back to Vegas and get it. And I was like, well, we could ship it, but no, we had to go back. So, but whatever. So obviously when all this arm thing happened, we canceled our Vegas trip and we're like, we'll just go home. And then by Monday I was feeling fine. And we met up with Craig and Jazz of Hustle Made, and they were like, oh, we're going to go to Nashville. You want to come? And we were like, sure, let's go.
Like, sounds like country Vegas. We're in.
Yeah. Like why? I love country music. We've never been to Nashville. Like, so we left 3 hours later. We just went.
I'm always amused at what a big country music fan Craig is. He loves it.
Yeah. When I first found out, I was like, what? Like, it doesn't go.
Oh, he loves it. He's crazy about it. He loves Luke Combs for some reason. Yeah, loves Luke Combs.
Yeah.
Like he's obsessed, like totally obsessed. I don't get it. I mean, I grew up in the deep South. So you got to understand, like country music, I don't listen to country music that much, but I was raised around it. Like everybody listened to it. It's like everyone had a pickup truck. That's the South, you know?
Yeah.
Craig's from the UK. I mean,
He's a city boy.
yeah, like I don't get it. I like
none of that makes
what do you
sense.
know about marrying your cousin and driving pickup trucks and plowing the fields? He doesn't know anything about that stuff. What the hell? Just bizarre.
But yeah,
Totally
we had a
weird.
blast. And then yeah, we met up. Shane and Tia were like randomly there. It's so small, that downtown, like it's it's like a
Yeah.
street.
Yeah, it's tiny.
And you can just bar hop. It's super cool. Like you don't pay covers anywhere. So you just and there's like bands on each level of there's like 3 different bands at each bar. Like it's fun.
Well,
We
see,
had a blast.
when I went to college there, that Second Avenue where all those bars are now it was just like dive bars. It wasn't like, now it's like big celebrity bars and bands everywhere.
Mhm.
In those days, it was like you would go into clubs and it was like you had to be careful. Like it wasn't safe, but you'd go anyway
Oh,
because
okay.
it was fun, you know?
Yeah.
And then I think, no, somebody's going to correct me on this, but I think the people who used to own Opryland like bought a lot of that area and built these kind of celebrity clubs. And so now it's like the cool place to go. Like, great
Right,
music,
yeah.
like super fun. I was watching those videos. I had in my notes here. I got to know who's better at line dancing, Craig or Kyle?
Kyle, 100%.
Kyle was pretty good.
Kyle was doing Irish dancing. They didn't have like street line dancing when we were there, which I was upset. But yeah, just like in the bar, there was
All right.
it was good.
How about Jazz or Tia? Who's better?
Ooh. Well, they both rode the bull, so we went to some bar with like the mechanical bull. They were both great. Jazz is like a horse girl. She grew up, so she did awesome. I think she was she used to ride horses all the time, so she was great.
I'm not surprised.
I didn't do
by
it
that at
because
all.
I was scared of falling on my arm, but yeah, Jazz and Tia just went for it. They were great.
Wow, Emily, that is a surprising amount of restraint you showed.
I know.
I know. You're probably on like blood thinners afterwards. She's like, just bring me another drink. I'll be fine. What's the worst that could happen? It'll be fine.
It'll just bleed out. It's fine.
Yeah. It'll be fine. No, that's super fun. How long were you guys in Nashville? Just a couple of days?
Yeah, we went Monday night and came back Thursday night. So
I'm jealous. I want to.
It was good. We'll definitely go back for sure. And the music, like if you're a music fan, I know it's like they don't play all country either. It's like they play normal. They play normal stuff too. It's not like country twang the whole night. Like it's cool.
Nashville's come a long way in the last the last 20 years. When I was going to school there, it was mostly country music, but there were bars where you could go hear showcases, and there would be rock bands that would come through and play. I think I may have told the story on the show before, but my roommate at the time, he's still a good friend of mine. He's a drummer and he lives in Nashville. And he's played for everyone at this point, but we were living together in Nashville, and he comes home and he brings this tape. This is how long ago it was. It was a cassette tape, Nikki. That's how old I am. Cassette tape. All right. So he brings this.
Yeah, I remember cassettes. I had them too. I'm old too.
Thank you, Emily. Thank you for reinforcing I'm the old guy on the show. So cassette tapes they were like these little square things, rectangles. You put them in your car and you play music. And he brings it home and he plays this album for me. And he's like, hey, I'm auditioning for this woman today. What do you think? And I listen to it. I'm like, God, that's terrible. That's horrible, dude. Like, no, don't go audition for that. He's like, no, I'm going to audition. Well, he did. And he didn't get the gig. It was Sheryl Crow's debut album, which won like 7 or 8 Grammys or whatever it won. And that's typical for Nashville though. Like these artists come through and it's where they get their bands from.
Yeah.
That's where all the best musicians are. And it just goes to show you what a shitty taste in music I have, that I thought Sheryl Crow was terrible at the time, and she turned out to be
this bitch is awful. Nobody's gonna listen to this.
He sucks.
That album's horrible, and then it wins like 8 Grammys, So explains why I went into banking and not music. So there you go.
Yeah. That's why the live music is so good, because they're all just like people trying to get big, but they're playing covers a lot, because like nobody wants to hear original song. Like you want to hear the songs you all know, right? So I don't know. I can't imagine going to college there. Like Can you imagine, Nikki? Like, college, how much you go out like every weekend.
Oh, girl.
Like, I can't
and
imagine.
weeknights. Remember weeknights in college? Like Matt and I were talking about this the other day. Like, I remember like in college, I never went to bed before like the early hours of the morning. It was wild. And now like 10:30 rolls around and I'm like, whoo-wee, I am ready.
I'm kind of already looking at the clock going, it's getting late.
I think the older you get, the more you can appreciate day drinking, because what is better? I'm serious. What is better than like a solid cocktail at brunch, and then you gotta like keep that going for like a minute or two, and then you have like a healthy buzz that is all sort of settled by the time you're ready to go to bed in your own ass bed at like 9 p.m. There's nothing better. It's a great day. You've had a great day.
Emily, do you drink?
You can drink all day in Nashville.
This is true.
That's what I'm saying. All day. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Do you drink? I mean, you're elite, so
I drink seldomly. Not during the competition season, obviously, but like after the games, yeah, I'll drink.
Okay.
I'll feel like crap.
I'm just always interested in who does and who doesn't. We had Spencer Panchek on here last night. I was making fun of him because every time I meet an elite athlete that's not Australian and not Canadian, those two know how to drink. Everybody else, all the Americans, are drinking like these foo-foo, like margarita drinks. Like they just don't know how to drink. They have no idea,
You know who's a lush is Mr. Vellner. But you're right, Canadian.
I think it's a healthy balance. It's a healthy balance between like elite athleticism and life, and having a drink or 2 or 10.
Yeah, I mean you can't do it when you're because like if you go out Saturday and you're drinking, you know what, Monday you're still gonna feel it. All week your training is gonna be crap. Like you just can't do that when you're training. And there's no point. Like, why am I putting this much effort into CrossFit if I'm gonna sabotage myself in other ways? But after competition, I think it's good to let loose a little.
First of all, I can answer the question, why would I sabotage myself and do CrossFit a lot? But that's an entirely different discussion. How do you balance?
You're not training for the games though.
Yeah, well, thanks for rubbing it in.
Are you?
Hey, I'm going to the games. I'm just not competing at the games.
I am physically going.
I'm physically going to be
bringing my body there. Yeah. Sure.
Somebody has to keep the Tito's 10 alive. All right. It might as well be me. One thing I love about Pat, though, is he seems to have a really good balance between like kind of a normal, healthy family life and this kind of craziness that you guys do as athletes. And I think you do too, at least from my observation of seeing what your life is like outside of work. Like you're going to concerts, you're going to Nashville, like you're doing fun stuff. How do you maintain that balance and still keep up with this kind of crazy training you have to do to be an elite athlete?
Yeah, I mean, I think like I said, there's a time and a place, and it's kind of for the month of August, usually after the games, I kind of do what I want. I'm still active, I'm still working out, but I think mentally you need a break too, and it's healthy to just do other things. And all year you're kind of saying like, no, I can't go out because, I need to get my at least 8 hours, and, it's going to be too late. And you're kind of making sacrifices all year. And I think you need to it's healthy to set apart a time and be like, okay, I'm going to say yes to my friends when they invite me out and do something. And yeah, Pat's really good at that. He doesn't take anything too seriously. He's better, throughout the year, he's better than that. I'm a little more obsessive throughout the year, but he's just super chill, and then he goes and wins. So
how often does he go out drinking and make you dog sit that dog for him?
Oh, is that what he was doing? I love his dog. Anytime Ollie wants to come stay with me.
I'm always amused by the 6 degrees of separation within CrossFit. I don't even remember what the story was, but it was your story and his dog. And I'm like, wait, I know that dog, and that dog doesn't belong to her. What the hell? What is going on here? So crazy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ollie's the best.
Ollie, usually I'll hang out with his dog when I'm at his place or whatever, and more than him, because I'm I care about the dog more, but
dogs are better than people.
But then this was the first time. Sorry?
I said, because dogs are better than people. I fully support that.
This was the first time that Ollie actually stayed over here for like a few nights. I think 3 or 4. But yeah, so it was kind of a trial this time, but he did really well. So.
Are you guys on the same island?
I'm on Vancouver. He's on Vancouver Island. So it's like an hour and a half boat ferry ride.
Man. Nikki, I don't know if I could do the ferry ride.
I can't either. We like ferry over to Block Island off the coast of Rhode Island every summer, and just like I step foot on that boat and I'm instantly like, someone give me a bag. Ugh, I can't.
Really?
That's real bad. Real bad. Everything makes me sick though. Like every kind of motion you can imagine: cars, trains, planes, boats. Yeah.
All of the above.
So fun.
So this is off topic of Vancouver Island and the dogs, but where did this love of the Backstreet Boys come in?
Where are you getting these questions?
I'm born in 1989.
Yeah.
Like,
I feel old now.
Old girl when Backstreet Boys were like such a big thing. I remember at like grade 4 or 5. So like they were, yeah. Every girl that age was obsessed.
See,
yeah.
And then we went to the concert and I was like, why are all these like 50-year-old women here? Like, I don't get it. And then my friend was like, well, they were like our age. They were like 30 when Backstreet Boys were huge. So,
yep.
And I was like, oh, okay. Like, that makes sense.
Yeah, girl.
There was like one guy for every, like, maybe I saw 2 men. And it was like a sold out concert. And I think I saw 2 guys.
This is
Wait,
the
you
one
only
that
saw
was, like,
2 guys, only 2 at the Backstreet Boys. That's it?
Yeah, there was like none.
This is the tour that they were just on, right? That's the one you went to?
Yeah.
Okay, I had
DNA
tickets
World
to that
Tour,
show because I was also born in 1988. So same.
Okay.
And I couldn't go because we ended up closing on our house and moving that day. And I was really bummed because we had bought tickets like 6 months in advance. It was my idea. I had like 7 friends going all at once. Because I had found it and I was like, you guys, the fucking Backstreet Boys are back together. They're old and crusty and kind of fat, and I want to go. and then I couldn't end up going, and I was really sad. Was it so much fun?
Oh, it was so good. It was such a good concert. Like, they did so well. I think they're like, Nick Carter must be the youngest. He's like 43 or something now, and the oldest was like 50. He's over 50. Like, they're
don't say it like that. Don't say it like that, Emily.
You have to say it like that, John, because it's like they were like the teen heartthrobs. So to picture them in their like mid 50s is like, no.
She said it like he's going to fall down and break his hip.
They looked good. Man. No, they looked good, and their dance moves were, I was impressed. Like, they did really well. They were good.
She's like, they dance so good, but oh my God, they're over 50. I'm surprised they could stay up there for that long without dying. Yeah. That's what it sounded like. That's what I heard. That's everything I heard.
I mean, they're not CrossFitters, so you got to wonder with people who are over 50 and not CrossFitters. Their athleticism.
Nikki, favorite Backstreet Boy song, Nikki. What is it? What's your favorite song?
Probably Shape of My Heart. It's a solid one.
Oh, look at you. Okay, I didn't see that coming. What about you, Emily? Favorite song?
Kyle, do you want to Kyle's breaking into a dance now?
Yeah, get him in the background. I want him dancing as you sing it. It'd be even better.
You want to what?
I want him in the background dancing while you sing it.
They were asking who's a better dancer, you or Craig, and I said you were.
Hands down. Hello, folks.
Hi.
He's sweaty. He was working out.
Sweaty.
He's all sweaty.
That thing called cardio.
You're not even in.
I love it.
Yeah, you don't even.
Favorite song, Emily? What is it? What's your favorite song?
I don't know. I mean, their encore was Larger Than Life, and it was cool because they wore Vancouver Canucks hockey jerseys to our hockey team. So everyone thought that was cool. And then I was like, wait, did they do this to everyone? And then they went to Edmonton, and then one of my friends went to that, and I was like, did they wear Vancouver Oilers hockey team? And she was like, yeah. And I was like, oh, it's not that special. Edmonton Oilers.
Nice.
But you know,
I don't
Canadians
know if
and
they
their
did
hockey.
that here. If it makes you feel better, I don't know if anyone wore any sort of jerseys here. My girlfriends told me that they wore these like leather jacket type like their costumes. They were obviously like stage outfits or whatever. But they were like kind of these like bigger leather jackets, but it was like really hot, and so they were all just like really, really sweaty the whole time.
Sounds about right.
I love it. I love this so much. Kyle, how do you feel about the Backstreet Boys?
I'm probably about as sweaty as they were on stage right now, but I had to pick Emily up from it. So yeah,
He picked me and my friend up.
And yeah,
he was so happy he was working that night, like that he wasn't gonna get roped into it. Yeah. He was like, "Take one of your girlfriends." I was like, "Okay."
Fair.
See, I don't know how to feel about this. You know, I graduated high school in 1988, so I'm old as fuck. But you know, you're picking these songs because they were coming out in the early 90s. You had your choice between Backstreet Boys and Nirvana. That was your choice, and you chose poorly.
In fairness, I will say Nirvana.
You don't know who Nirvana? Hang on a second. She just said she doesn't know who Nirvana is.
Oh my god!
What?
This is killing me as well. Okay, I Grant's for divorce right there.
Oh my goodness!
I don't know what. I have no idea.
Kurt Cobain.
So Nirvana.
Okay, good effort.
It was.
Hold on. Let me explain.
It was Backstreet Boys, Spice Girls. That's all it was.
Right. It was Backstreet Boys, Spice Girls.
I was really music.
I was an NSYNC gal myself, but Nirvana was a little bit like coming down from the crest of like being epic. Like my brother is 9 years older than me, and he Nirvana was like his. I listened to a lot of it because of him. It wasn't really like as we were getting old enough to like listen to the radio, buy our own CDs, like do that kind of like MTV was huge for our age group. It was truly like the era of the boy band. Nirvana was like, we're a tiny bit young for that. If you didn't have that influence already,
that's fine.
I'm just saying.
Yeah. Don't you just love like people like Aaron McCary and Matty O'Brien are like, what's CD?
Oh,
like,
yeah.
And we're
trust me, I've had this discussion with my own daughters who are that age. It's
man.
It's a hardest. I tried to explain an 8-track to them one time, and it was like you would have thought I was. There's like what 8 what? I'm like, yeah, we had 8 tracks in the car, and they're like, no idea.
I know. At least we're on the cusp. Like Emily and I, like we kind of lived through the era of like not having any tech to having all the tech. Like we were really the turning point, right? Like when
we had Walkman.
We had Walkmans, like we had tapes, we had CD players, and they skipped when you ran and like all that stuff. And then we also like downloaded one song at a time on Napster, and it took like 2 hours per song and like all that stuff. And then, you know, and here we are like with iTunes and Spotify's and things like that. So I do feel like we're like the transitional era, but everyone younger than us has been like having this like instant gratification, like fingertip, everything at their fingertips, which is why most of them suck. Throwing that out there, but
that's fair.
Until you deal with it, I can assure you, it's not that much fun when you have to deal with it.
What's your if you had to put together your workout playlist, what's going to be on it?
Mine?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh man, you're gonna laugh. It's the most random. It's country and Backstreet Boys.
Disney.
And there's a bit of Disney.
Greatest show.
And then it'll be like a random Eminem.
Nice.
Like
you get
solid. I can relate. That sounds exactly like mine too. No country, but the rest of it.
Yeah. You get Let It Go and from
Queen.
Frozen and then Eminem. That's perfect.
Yeah. And some Queen. Yeah.
You got some music on. There's some music on there.
There's some culture.
There's some music on there.
Kyle, what about you? When you're out there sweating it up, what are you listening to?
I'm too busy trying to survive.
Yeah.
I have a thing that plays in my head. It says, breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out. That's all it plays. Gets me through it.
I love it so much. It's the best. What about you, Nikki? What's your workout jams?
You know what? Recently, I've subscribed to Fit Radio. Do you guys ever use that app?
No. Oh, yes.
No.
Actually, I have heard this. It's
great. Emily, you would really like it because I feel like we have very similar tastes in music. So I was listening. I would like build these like curated lists on Spotify that was like some pop music, some like fun like 2000s throwbacks, and also love me some Disney jams. I'm with you. We listen to the Encanto soundtrack on a daily in this house. But Fit Radio is a really fun app where it's basically just like, it just is like having a DJ where you give it a genre. You can't pick your songs, but you give it a genre like top 40 or like millennial pop or like whatever. And it just is like, it's like having a DJ who samples like the best parts of all the songs, and they turn it into like big, like 2-hour playlists where it's just like one song into another, into another. They have every genre. They have country and they have rock and they have rap and they have like trap. It's good. It's like another subscription service, but I think I like it more than Spotify right now.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, because I also I like it when I run, and you can put on and Spotify has this too, but I like it. It's more cohesive on Fit Radio. You can put on playlists that are like per the BPM.
Okay.
Yeah. So if like 100, like, I don't know, this might not be right, but I think like 160 BPM is like ish a 10-minute mile, and you gotta run to the beat. So you can find like I danced growing up, so I'll do anything like to the beat.
How do you run again? Show me how you do
I wonder
that.
if they
Like this. That was your run to the beat.
This is me running.
Everybody listening doesn't get to see us doing this, but if you're watching on video, it's very entertaining. This is great.
don't they ban like if you're doing a running race, like stuff like that, because it's like a pace counter, a pace bunny or something in your head.
Some races.
I am never running at a pace where anyone has to worry. I'm running like 11-minute miles with my pacing BPM music. No one's worried about me in those races.
I was in the gym the other day, and the coach put on some music, and it was like one of those scream bands. You know what I'm talking about? Like thrash metal. It's like, and I was like, I'm always sarcastic as hell. I know it's shocking, but I'm like, oh, I want to have this played at my wedding someday. And he's like, oh, this is this is Annika Greer's playlist. And I'm like, are you shitting me? And he's like, no, seriously. And I'm like, I'm going to message her and ask. And he's like, go ahead. And so I shoot her a message. And I'm like, hey, is this really your playlist? She's like, oh my God, I love that song. I'm like, Annika Greer, like seriously?
Damn.
She's into all this like crazy heavy, like the heaviest rock music you can imagine. It was really cool.
I could see that though.
Of course.
It caught me off guard. I'm not gonna lie. I didn't see it coming, but now that I know.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Now that I know.
Could see that.
It
looks like, John, you're actually a musician though. You've got guitars and stuff in the background. You actually look like you have music in your blood.
I have more guitars than I have CrossFit shoes. It's ridiculous. It's a very expensive, hobby. It would only be more expensive if I owned no bulls. That's why this is a little cheaper, but otherwise it's not bad.
You could just see if Noble's built guitar, John would be poor.
Yeah, exactly. My dad got me into it when I was 12. My dad was an athlete in college and wanted me to be an athlete. And he quickly figured out there was no chance in hell that was going to happen. So it's like, well, let's get him a guitar. Maybe women will like him. And that didn't work either, but I got pretty good at guitar. And the rest is history. And so now I own a bunch of guitars. So it's great. Works for me. It's all good stuff. Well, Emily, I'm glad you're healed and feeling better. Yeah. I got to tell you, it blew up my picks. I had you in my top 5.
Same, girl.
Absolutely in my top 5.
Yeah, I mean, that's the frustrating part. Especially when the events, I kept I couldn't even go into the Coliseum. I think for the last event we did, but until then I was like, I can't even watch, knowing that you should be out there and knowing that especially an event that you're going to be good at, and you're like, oh man, but it's life.
Well, this year I thought was particularly stacked on both sides. Men and women was probably the best field I think we've seen in years of competitive athletes. And Nikki and I did a show prior to it. I think we both said we thought, you had as good a chance as anyone to be standing on the podium that week. And, it's obviously disappointing to not get to see you do that, but we're really, really grateful you came out of it healthy and better and healed. Yeah. And, next year we'll put you back on there. No doubt.
You did what you needed to do in order to be able to come back next year. And that's what's important, right? No limb alert. Because if you hadn't done that, then who knows where that hand would be, in a gutter somewhere. Not to be dramatic, as Dr. Rocket said, but and
yeah, that's the thing.
Yeah, for sure. Well, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate you guys taking some time, and appreciate Kyle jumping in all sweaty at the end. Thanks, Kyle. Good to.
Thank you.
It's always fun to talk to you guys.
Oh, super fun. All right. Well, we'll definitely do it again soon. Nikki, great seeing you for like the 100th time in the last 2 weeks. You're probably sick of me by now.
No, never. Thank you for holding down the fort yesterday. I'm gonna go do baby bedtime right now.
It was fun. I hate to say it, but it was our best show ever.
Of course it was.
Oh no!
I'm kicked off the show. I'm banned.
It was not the
forever.
same. It was not the same without you. It never is. So
thank you.
All right. Well, great seeing everyone. For everyone listening, appreciate you guys joining the show tonight, and we will see you guys next.